I get calls all the time from professionals considering a move to Charlotte, but here's what surprises most of them. Charlotte metro area is home to nearly 2.8 million people, yet fewer than 35% actually live inside of Charlotte's city limits, smack dab in the core of it all. The rest, they're spread across the suburbs that can feel like totally different worlds. So if you're thinking about moving here or relocating from out of state, you've got some major homework to do. Because moving to Charlotte could mean hopping into a bustling uptown condo, like you can see right behind me, or settling into a charming street in Waxhaw, 2 counties away, sometimes 1 depending where you are. Lifestyle, schools, vibe, they're all gonna be wildly different depending on where you land. That's exactly why I'm doing this tier list. But it's not a clickbait top 10 kind of list. It's an honest breakdown of Charlotte's suburbs, from C tier, where value meets compromise, to B tier, which includes some of the fastest growing hidden gems in the Carolinas, all the way up to the S tier, where neighborhoods just hit different. And if you stick around, I'll even tell you the one suburb that I used to recommend, but no longer do. Oh, and if you're new here, I'm Andy, and my real estate team helps hundreds of people relocating. Families, professionals, and city sellers making the right move every year. We're not just giving you data, we're giving you a full picture of what life actually feels like here in Charlotte. So let's jump to the C tier suburbs, and you might be surprised which areas actually pack a punch once you look a little closer. So before we start ranking the suburbs, here's something you need to hear. Most people looking to move to Charlotte have this one image in their head. For some, it's skyline views and Panthers games in Uptown. For others, it's cul-de-sacs and swing sets in Fort Mill or Weddington. And for a lot of folks moving from out of state, it's that sweet spot, more space, lower taxes, and still close enough to the action. But here's what trips people up. They try to copy someone else's move instead of figuring out what actually fits their lifestyle. Because Charlotte isn't a one-size-fits-all city. You've got families that want the top schools and big backyards, young professionals looking for breweries, co-working hubs, and walkability, remote workers escaping the Northeast grind, even luxury buyers cashing out from Boston, New York, or California, looking to downshift without downgrading. And if you're selling your home in the city and thinking about trading it for something more relaxed, this guide might be exactly what you need to figure out what comes next. So don't just ask where the good schools are. Ask yourself, where will I actually thrive? What daily life do I want to wake up to? Let's find that answer, one suburb at a time. Let's break this down so you know exactly how this works. We're ranking Charlotte's suburbs from C tier to S tier. Think of it like high school grades, but with traffic, rising prices, and neighborhood politics instead of exams and yearbooks. C tier saves you money, but you'll pay for it in stress, patience, or commute times. These areas have potential, but you have to go in eyes wide open. B tier is full of suburbs people want to love. Some are rising stars, some are just overhyped. A few are expanding faster than the infrastructure can keep up, but there are deals and gems if you know where to look. A tier is where lifestyle really starts to flex. Better schools, walkable pockets, breweries, and shops that make you feel like you're part of something. These are the places people post about on Instagram and actually enjoy their weekends in. S tier, that's unicorn territory. Elite schools, designer homes, community events, curated farmers markets on weekends, and HOAs that will absolutely fine you for the wrong mailbox color. Now, to be clear, just because something ends up in C tier doesn't mean it's bad. It might be perfect for your situation. If you're looking for space, value, and don't need the trendiest zip code, you might find your fit there. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about ranking what's hot. It's about what works for your lifestyle. It's about fit and trade-offs. Because nobody wants to wake up and realize their backyard just turned into a data center parking lot. All right, you ready? Let's kick it off with the C tier suburbs and show you which ones are worth watching and which ones might make you think twice. These spots won't break the bank, but they might break your patience. If you're moving to Charlotte with the goal of the most amount of square footage for the lowest price, Tier C is where the deals live. But don't let the low sticker price fool you. There are trade-offs here. And if you're relocating from out of state, this is where the gap between price and lifestyle starts to show up fast. So let's start with Gastonia. Gastonia is like Charlotte's rebel stepbrother. Close enough to matter, far enough to feel forgotten. You could still find homes here under $300,000, but you're going to trade that price for long commutes, low walkability, and a vibe that's still rough around the edges. The downtown has made some serious strides though. You have a few great breweries and new construction popping up everywhere. But schools are hit or miss. Crime is a little higher than average and amenities are limited unless you're willing to hop on I-85 and drive. If you're good with grit, it might work. If you're picturing a polished suburb, this ain't it. Next up, Monroe. Monroe is the land of more space for less, and also more road time. There's charm here, especially in the historic downtown. And if you're looking for acreage or room to breathe, it delivers. But it comes with some realities. It's a long haul from uptown. The infrastructure is aging, and you won't exactly be surrounded by trendy restaurants or Whole Foods level shopping. This is the kind of place that works if you're remote working, homeschooling, or just want quiet. If your idea of a fun Saturday involves DoorDash and a Target run, this might test your limits. And then there's Indian Trail, our controversial drop into Tier C. On paper, it looks awesome. New construction, top searched on Zillow, feels like a place that everyone's moving to. But growth got ahead of the infrastructure, and it shows. Traffic is clogging up fast. Schools and shopping haven't caught up. And while prices are still lower than places like Ballantyne or Matthews, they're climbing quickly. Without the lifestyle perks though, that usually come with it. It's not a bad suburb though. It's just not the deal it used to be. And if you're okay waiting out the growing pains, it could work. But don't expect polished, walkable, or balanced. Not yet. If any of these spots already have you picturing weekends on your next move, now's the time to get ahead. Our real estate team has the inside track on what's happening, what's on the market, and what's worth watching for your lifestyle and budget. Call, text, or email us, and you'll find our information right in the description below. And let's turn the places you're hearing about today into the places you call home tomorrow. So, who are these suburbs for? They're for buyers who are laser focused on budget first. They're for people who don't mind driving a lot. They're for families who value space over status and are willing to trade location and lifestyle for a lower mortgage. And if that's you, these might be the smartest moves on the map. But if you're looking for balance, better schools, closer commutes, more neighborhood life, then stick around. This next tier is where things really start to get interesting. There's a sweet spot in every city. Places where the lifestyle is solid, the price tag isn't outrageous, and the neighborhood still feels like it's got upside. That's what Tier B is all about. These aren't hidden gems, but they aren't overexposed either. They're the kind of suburbs people want to move to when they want to feel settled, but still connected. Not quite small town, not quite city, but somewhere comfortably in between. Take Mooresville, for example. There's something magnetic about it. Maybe it's the blend of NASCAR roots and lakeside living, or the way that the community rallies around local events and sports. You've got neighborhoods where kids still ride bikes, people wave from porches, and weekends revolve around cookouts and boat days. Of course, there's the commute. So if you're heading into Uptown, I-77 can be brutal. There's no sugarcoating that. But a lot of people here aren't making that drive daily anymore. They're hybrid, remote, or working in tech corridors further north than Mooresville. And for them, Mooresville is a win. More house, more yard, better pace of life. Now, drift a little closer to the city and you'll find Matthews on a whole different part of town. A town that feels like a deep breath. Not because it's sleepy, but because it's steady. It's the kind of place that doesn't need reinvention. It just works. Schools are great, downtown has actual character, you'll find local bakeries, family-owned shops, coffee spots with regulars who all know each other's orders. It's not trying to be trendy, and honestly, that's the charm about it. For people relocating from bigger cities, especially families, Matthews offers predictability without sacrificing personality. It's a place to plant roots and not look back. Then, going back up, there's Cornelius, which lives in this fascinating middle ground. Say the name and people think lake life, luxury homes, polished everything. And yes, parts of Cornelius deliver exactly that. You've got water views, boat slips, upscale dining. But once you get to know it, you realize it's more layered. Some streets are pure elegance. Others are still finding their rhythm. It's less about being a curated suburbs and more of a patchwork. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, for buyers who want a taste of the Lake Norman lifestyle without the sticker shock of Davidson or Huntersville, Cornelius might be the perfect fit, especially if you're coming from out of state and want that mix of activity, access, and potential. So if Tier C was all about compromise, Tier B is about alignment. These are suburbs that you can match your lifestyle without forcing you to give up other things that actually matter. The trick is knowing what's beneath the surface though. Not every pocket is the same. Not every school district tells the full story. That's why working with someone who actually understands these neighborhoods, who's been inside the homes, talked to the neighbors, and watched these communities evolve makes all the difference. Because when you land in the right tier B suburb, it doesn't feel like you settled for anything. It feels like you nailed it. I've got a few areas coming up that I think offer even more, and I'm curious though, what do you think so far? So drop a comment below and let me know if you agree with my rankings. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get the new videos every time they come out with everything you need to know about living in Charlotte, North Carolina and the surrounding areas. And if you're still holding out for the kind of suburb that makes your jaw drop, the kind of neighborhood that feels like a flex every time you turn into the driveway, that is where Tier A comes in. These are the suburbs you brag about in the group chat. There's a moment in every home search where the checklist becomes a vision board, where it's no longer just about school ratings or commute time. It's about how it feels to live there. That is what Tier A suburbs deliver. That is where we are right now. They're not just functional, they're aspirational. The kind of places where people drive through and say, yeah, I could see myself living here. Let's start in Davidson. Easily one of the most charming towns in the entire state. It's walkable in the way that makes you leave your car keys on the hook at home. Shared sidewalks, storybook homes, independent coffee shops, a Saturday farmers market that looks like a rom-com backdrop. Davidson just gets it. There's history here, a sense of preservation and pride that's very rare. And with Davidson College anchoring the community, there's a brainy, cultural heartbeat that runs through everything. From the bookstores to the brew pubs. It's high-end, yes, but not pretentious. Davidson doesn't need to impress you. It just is impressive, which I'll tell you, one of my favorite restaurants in all of Charlotte, Kindred, is located in Davidson, so it's worth going if you come to visit. Now, let's cross west of the city and you'll find Belmont, a suburb that's having a real moment. For years, Belmont was the quiet kid in class. Now, it's glowing up. There's a downtown that blends historic charm with an emerging food scene, boutiques popping up like wildflowers, and river views that make it feel more like Asheville than Charlotte. People are finally catching on, and for good reason. It's still more affordable than some of its Tier A peers, but you can feel that energy shifting when you're there. Belmont just isn't trying to be the next big thing, it already is, and savvy buyers know that. Then we zoom into South Park. Technically, still Charlotte, but honestly, it's in its own league. This is where luxury whispers instead of shouts. You've got designer retail, upscale dining, art galleries, and landscaping so manicured, it could be on a magazine cover. Shoot, they have their own magazine for the whole area. But what really sets South Park apart is its balance. Yes, it's refined, but it's also livable. The schools are strong, the homes are stunning, and the community vibe is quietly very confident. For professionals, entrepreneurs, or families looking for that polished lifestyle without the chaos of uptown, South Park hits the mark. And rounding out Tier A is Huntersville, a powerhouse suburb that proves consistency is a flex. Huntersville has that big suburb energy where it's clean, organized, and overflowing with conveniences. You've got everything from Target runs to Trader Joe's, community parks, strong schools, and neighborhoods where the block parties still do happen. It's not flashy, but that's exactly why people love it. For families, especially those relocating from high-cost metros, Huntersville feels like a sigh of relief. You get space, safety, predictability, and just enough personality to make it yours. So what ties Tier A together? They're not just where people live, they're where people thrive. Each suburb offers a lifestyle, not just a house with a roof. Whether you want historic charm, lakefront leisure, urban polish, or family-friendly consistency, there's a Tier A spot that aligns with your vision. And if you're still with me, we've got one more tier to cover. It's not for everyone, but if you're looking for the most elite neighborhoods around Charlotte, the ones that make even seasoned buyers pause and say, whoa, then you're gonna want to see Tier S. So let's go. These are the unicorns, where schools, homes, lifestyle, and prestige all show up dressed to impress. Some places don't just check boxes, they create a feeling that the streets are quieter, not because people aren't living, but because they finally found the peace that they were looking for. A feeling that the schools are stronger, not just in test scores, but in culture. That the air feels cleaner, the homes feel prouder, and the life you're building is starting to reflect the work it took to get here. That is Tier S. A few months ago, I worked with a couple relocating from the Northeast, high performers. One worked in finance and the other was in the tech industry. They had 2 kids, a Labrador, and a very specific goal. We want a place where we don't just exist. We want to expand. We looked at dozens of homes across Charlotte. But it wasn't until we pulled into a tree-lined drive in Waxhaw where they both went completely quiet. Not the awkward kind of quiet where it's like, I don't know what's going on, but the this is it kind. The homes felt tucked away, wrapped in privacy and old growth trees. Downtown had that brick and boutique energy that's impossible to fake. Walkable core, storybook charm, A+ schools. Later that night, they called me and said, "We didn't even know this was possible." That's Waxhaw. It's not flashy, but it moves people. Just down the road from there is Weddington. And this one's for the buyer who wants space, not square footage, but breathing room. These are the estate homes on multi-acre lots where the horizon line isn't another roof, it's a field of horses. It's quiet, refined, and built for people who've outgrown the noise of city life. You're not driving here for date night, you're living here to reset your entire pace of life. And yes, the schools are exceptional. But the real luxury in Weddington, it's privacy. The kind money can't always buy in Charlotte's closer-in neighborhoods. Now, let's go right down the street and talk about Marvin, arguably the most polished suburb in the entire region of Union County. Marvin is what happens when wealth meets restraint. It's not about flaunting, it's about finishing. The finishes on the homes, the landscaping, the streets that feel like they were designed with intention, not just efficiency. These are gated communities with 5-star amenities, top-ranked schools with wait lists to get in. Families who've already made it, but aren't done growing. In Marvin, everything feels handled, from the curb appeal to the community standards. Even the mailboxes match, and somehow it works. And finally, we need to revisit Davidson. Yes, again. Because Davidson isn't just a Tier A lifestyle suburb. For the right buyer, it's Tier S without apology. Where else do you get walkable downtowns, academic vibrancy, lakeside homes, and architecture that hasn't been steamrolled by modern development? Davidson is the kind of place where your barista knows your name and your kid's favorite muffin. And you go to Kindred enough times, they'll know who you are too. It's where bike rides, porch concerts, and library readings actually happen, not just get advertised. For the family that values storybook living without sacrificing sophistication, Davidson quietly wears the crown. And I'd be a fool to not also mention Myers Park, Eastover, and Boxcroft, all of which are home to some of the most old school locals, old school vibes, and best walkability the entire city has to offer. This is cream of the crop. So when you visit, definitely add driving down Queens Road to your list, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So here's the real truth about Tier S. These aren't just the best suburbs, they're the ones that make you slow down in a good way. They aren't status symbols, they're sanctuaries. And whether you're relocating from out of state or just ready to level up your lifestyle, this tier is your runway. If you're curious which of these might fit your vision best, or you're stuck between lifestyle and logistics, that's where we come in. My team and I don't just sell homes. We help people make sense of Charlotte. And this is the good stuff. Not Tier A yet, but don't sleep on them. Harrisburg doesn't ask for attention, it earns it. Tucked just northeast of the city, it's become a quiet favorite for families who want structure without stress. Schools perform, parks deliver, and the community actually shows up for each other. It's still maturing, so you won't find a nightlife scene or a skyline by any means, but it's not trying to be something that it's not. Give it one more wave of thoughtful development, and this could be the next suburb everyone is fighting to get into. Concord, they play big. You've got the speedway, the outlets, and just enough edge to keep it interesting. And some parts feel like polished suburbia, while others still carry a little grit. And that mix, it works for the right kind of buyer. If you want space, growth potential, and you don't mind a little sprawl, Concord gives you more to work with than most people would realize. And then there's Highland Creek, Charlotte's suburb that isn't. Technically a neighborhood, practically a town. You've got a built-in sense of community, amenities that punch above their weight, and homes that feel like an actual value in today's market. They even have their own golf course there. It's clean, connected, and easy to underestimate. But the people who move here, they tend to stay. And that tells you everything you need to know. None of these crack tier A, but they're climbing. And if you're looking for smart bets with long-term upside, these are the plays that no one's talking about yet. The truth is, there's no one perfect suburb. There's only the one that fits your life, your timing, and your priorities. We've helped clients leave million-dollar neighborhoods because that lifestyle just didn't match. And we've seen first-time buyers find more community in tier C towns than in areas twice the price. So if you're trying to figure out where you belong, don't Google harder, just reach out. Whether you're relocating for work, selling your place in the city, upsizing for family life, or finally making the move you've been talking about for years, we are here for it. Our team doesn't just know Charlotte, we live it. We study the trends, we walk the neighborhoods, and we have honest conversations that help people make real decisions. The worst move that you can make? Waiting too long or choosing based on someone else's priorities. So if this video helped you get clearer on what fits and what doesn't, drop us a comment, shoot us a DM, or just book a call. No pressure, just real talk. And if you're not done yet, watch the next video in the series right here. We break down the biggest mistakes people make when relocating to Charlotte and how to avoid all of them. And I'll see you there.